Hello, this is Layren with the Fantasy Grounds Academy. I am going to be setting up for a one-shot that I'm going to run at the end of October. If anyone's interested, I will put the link in the chat. It is not free, it is a paid game, 20 bucks a head. It is going to be listed on the official Fantasy Grounds forums in the paid section. If you agree or not agree with the price, I'm fine with that. I'm going to be putting some effort and time into this, and I also going to take time out of my Sunday with my family to run the game. So it'll be a 4-hour game at least, 5 to 6 players. Hopefully we'll get at least 4. That's kind of my minimum, 3 to 4 players. It is going to be a level 4 one-shot, and I'm going to start creating the characters now. So if you're interested in playing, you get an idea of what characters I'm going to be building, that sort of thing. And right now I'm kind of preparing my overlay for this. So this is part of the overlay that I'm working on. I'm showing here. I'm using the Fantasy Grounds horror theme, which I'll link later. It comes with the art subscription, or you can buy it as a one-time purchase. It's up to you how you want to do it. Or if you're savvy enough, you can build your own. So without further ado, I'm going to start building a character in here. Her name is Maven Macabre. She is essentially a Tiefling Warlock, and she has a very specific goal in coming to the actual adventure. So I'm going to go through and build her character. I already have a token made for her. As a matter of fact, in the assets folder, I need to refresh because I haven't told Fantasy Grounds that I've added more work. Once I hit refresh, it's going to start adding the art. It's going to make a folder called campaign as soon as I get that dealt with. But at first I want to add the tokens, so I'm going to go to the token section, go to folder. It's going to pop up a folder on the back end. You can't see that because I don't have the entire screen shared. But essentially I'm going to pull from my downloads folder all of the artwork that I've been working on for this particular adventure. So I have 4 tokens built so far. I'm going to build 6 altogether. I've got some of the artwork done, so I'm going to go ahead and load this in and see what it looks like. If I need to make any changes, that sort of thing. So I'm in the tokens area. I'm going to click on folder. It's going to pop up a folder on the back end of Fantasy Grounds. I'm going to paste in my tokens. I need to rename them because they all say Untitled Design, blah, 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 so I got to go and fix that. But nonetheless, I'm just going to bring them in for right now to see what they look like. So I'm going to refresh the folder assets, and Fantasy Grounds will create a new folder called Campaign. And I bring that up. This is essentially the preview of the tokens. They're not very big because they're only 100 by 100, but this is what essentially what's going to be like for players when they select a character. So I'm going to kind of make some horror theme, kind of somewhat related fantasy kind of thing. So Maven, the Warlock, she's going to use this token here. And then I have this other rogue character, this Halfling. His name is Ervig. I think I called him, I don't remember the name of him, but his first name's Ervig. And this is Ervig is a rogue. This guy is Ungar the Truth Seeker. And then this guy here is Merle the Mangler. He's kind of like a wrestler type, like from a circus. He's kind of there as muscle, bodyguard type thing. This particular this player is she's going to be looking for something specific in the adventure. They all have a purpose to be there, but I'm going to write the backstories for these individuals for roleplay purposes. And then when players actually sign up for the game, I'll give them that information once they commit to playing. So I'm going to start building her character. Let's see what we got here. So initially, normally I don't do this first. I usually build out all of the adventure, but I already have most of it done. So what I'm going to do is going to build the characters. So in the library, my modules folder, by the way, I'm using the Ultimate license. You don't have to have an Ultimate license to do this. You can get by with the standard license. You just can't host any free users, basically. So what I'm going to do here is going to show the library. So I got most of the character creation books and a couple extras. I loaded the Van Richten's guide just in case, because it has some horror-based things in there. A couple Ravenloft assets so that I have the, extra options in case we want to get some more horror themes going on. And then there's some other things in here that could really benefit a player depending on what you're into. So without going in too much more delay, I'm going to try to use the character wizard because that seems to be one of the things that most people are trying to use. It can be done. There are some minor setbacks and things that happen occasionally when you build it, but for the most part, it works pretty good. I think I can get at least the first level base character put together, and it's a Tiefling Warlock. It can't be much simpler than that. I'm going to go ahead and open up the player section. Right now, I have the tools section expanded. I'll go to the player section. So you take the library and close that, take the tool section, close that, open up player, and this is where you build characters, or you can import them, or you can start with the character wizard. So I'm going to use the character wizard. I'm going to open this up, and right now I have a blank slate. I'm going to hand enter these particular entries because I don't want to spend all day rolling. So I'm just going to manually enter. So her strength is going to be like 9. Her dex probably 13. Con is 11. Her intelligence is going to be fairly good. Wisdom, I'm going to leave that at 10. And her charisma is going to be 14. So this is pretty close to what you would get anyways with the standard array or a point buy. So that's part of the reason why I just chose these. And I'm leaving a little room for racial adjustments in case that she gets any bonuses. I know she'll get some on charisma for sure, but we'll see what the other ones bring. So that's her stats. And I'm going to call her, let's see, this is Maven Macabre. It's kind of a witch-looking kind of build. She has that kind of air about her. Now I'm going to pick race. So once I click on races, it's going to populate whatever races I have in my library. So it's pulling on all the library. Now make sure that when you are building your characters that you actually have the books already loaded. Because if you don't, if you do it after you start building, it may not pull those in. So if you're using the character wizard, make sure you have all your content loaded or activated before you start building. So I'm going to go down the list and go to Tiefling. Let's see. Got tons of choices here because I loaded a couple other extra books. So Tiefling, let's see. RST, yep. So it should be in here somewhere. Yep, getting there. Okay, so Tiefling. Okay. TI. Let's see what we got here. Oh, there's a succubus. I didn't even know they had that. So, I don't remember where the tieflings actually come in. Let's go with... I wish we had a search function. That would really be helpful. So, I'm going to unload a couple of these other books because it looks like I have way too many things here. That might be part of the problem. Yeah, I'm not even seeing tieflings. I'm missing it because there's so many here. Let's see, so... should be in here. But it's not, huh? Wonder if they broke it down into the sub races. Huh. Well, you know what? I'll come back to that. Let's see. We're gonna go with Warlock. And we're gonna give her Arcana. And probably history or religion. I gotta think about it. Yeah, history's good. And now we're gonna take her to the next step, which is going to be the Dark, or the Celestial, Hexblade, Architect of the Undead, the Word Coven. Interesting. I think I'm going to go with the Dark. Kind of fits her bill there. And her background, Born of Magic, that's from Monstrous Races. Emissary, Investigator. I think that might be her thing. The Haunted One, Orphan, and a Local Spirit. Let me see if I have the Player's Handbook. That's important. So I'm going to actually cancel this out and go back to the campaign here, or the actual library. Something is goofy here. So I want to go to my modules. I'm going to unload some of the stuff I don't need. So go to Activation. And anything that's not pertinent to this or doesn't need to be loaded, I'm going to turn on the load filter, because that will show what you have loaded. And then I'm going to go to... Yeah, I don't see the Player's Handbook. That's what's the problem is, I think. So yeah, unload the Monstrous Races. Those don't need to be here. And I'm going to get rid of the Ravenloft Compendium. There we go. Now, let's type the Player's Handbook. I was wondering, like, why it wasn't working. And you notice I started over because I didn't want to start to build and then load the module after the fact. You have to have it loaded when you're actually creating the character. So you got to be careful when you're building characters that you don't have that issue. So that's that. So this is loading up the Player's Handbook. Now when we do this, it should be okay. So now I'm going to go back to Characters, go to Character Wizard. Just going to type in her name again, so Maven Macabre. And then we were going to do the manual entry. I think for this, I mean, she's going to have like an 8 strength. And 13 dex, maybe 11 con, 13 or 12 intelligence. Wisdom's the same, and I'll give her a 15 of charisma. So there we go. There's that. Now when I pull up the races, Tiefling's here. And then if you wanted a sub-race, you might be able to change that out. But I'm just going to build a standard Tiefling race. So intelligence modifier of +1 and racial modifier of +2. So that works. But you can change whatever you want. But I like this intelligence thing. And then the charisma, definitely like that too. So that helps with their spell casting and everything else. Okay, now we're going to go with Warlock. And now Arcana and History was the choices that I wanted. Okay, so Archfey, the Fiend, the Great Old One. Probably the Fiend in this case. Or the Undead. That's from Van Richten's. I think that might be okay. I don't know. Maybe the Fiend. I think I like that better. Okay, so that's that. And now our background. So she spends a lot of time reading, so she could be a sage or a scholar. Although, she has other... Maybe she's a noble. That's what will give her a nobility title. Okay, so she has Common and Infernal, so she gets at least one more language. So probably speaks the language of... probably Elvish or other arcane studies. And then she might have a plain, see, Prophet's Gambit. Oh, these are tarot cards. How cool. Yeah, I want that. Cool. It's a Taroka. And then, let's see. So her class skills, I have to pick another one because she's getting doubling up somewhere. So if that's the case, then I'm going to do investigation because that's essentially what she ends up doing. She has persuasion, investigation, arcana, and history. So that's pretty cool. Now if I go to her inventory button, which you need to make sure you click on this at first level. If you miss it, then you just have to manually select the inventory after the character's built. But I loaded a big, huge module with a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to give her the Scholars Pack. And then for her first equipment or weapon, or essentially, I'm going to give her the quarterstaff because she's already kind of has that in mind. So she has a quarterstaff for her first choice. And she uses a crystal for her arcane focus. And then she has leather armor and 2 daggers, so that's not bad. So that gives her that. And then when you go to spells, you can decide which spells you're going to give her. So she's going to be on Warlock. And then I can go down this list and pick her cantrips. So probably Eldritch Blast. That seems to be one of the more popular ones. So I'll give her that. Eldritch Blast. It's a cantrip. And she gets 1 more. So let's go with... I like Chill Touch because they can't do a reaction. And then there's some other ones. Infestation is interesting. Mage Hand is probably your next one. So those are pretty utility. It's got an offensive and then a utility spell. And then her level 1, she gets a couple of these, so probably the Armor of Agathis. So let's see what that does. I forget. So it's a protective magical force. Okay, maybe. Let's see. Cause fear, charm person, comprehend languages. Hellish Rebuke, I don't remember if she gets that as a Tiefling thing, so definitely not that. But I do want to give her Hex. That's a very good spell for her, anyways. And then Witch Bolt, she already has something similar to that, so probably there's the Expeditious Retreat. That might be helpful. It's a bonus action too. Yeah, I'm going to give her that. That way she can get the heck out of dodge when she needs to. She can dodge when she needs to get out of there. And now she doesn't get any feats for first level, so I'm going to go ahead and click it now that I have everything selected. You want to look at this preview window before you hit the commit button, because once you do that, you are committed to that character, so you don't have any choice to fix it at this point after you click commit. So, but if you wanted to change some things around, you could. So right now, this is her stats. And then with the bonuses, she's going to have a 13 intelligence, a 17 charisma, 13 dex, 8 strength, 11 con, 10 wisdom. So that's not bad. So go ahead and hit commit. And what it does is it saves everything to a regular character sheet. Now I'm going to actually drag her portrait over, so I can bring this over from the actual campaign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do it from the assets. It's easier. So if I go to the assets window, if you're a GM and you're creating a bunch of characters, like pre-gens like I am, you want to probably use the portraits and the tokens from over here, because they're a lot harder to select when you're trying to do it through the token thing or the portrait folder. So I can go to tokens for the token part of this and drag and drop that in here. And then when I need to do the portraits, I will make a square version of this so that she'll have her own token for her portrait. I do have the art for it, but it's not sized for this particular application. So then we have this base character here, level 1, Warlock, Tiefling. Let's see, all the skills are here. is good. All the abilities are added. So some of this stuff, like this optional thing, this comes from Tasha's. I'm not going to need that, so I can delete that. Expanded spell list for the Fiend. I don't need that. Pack Magic is already listed, but I'll go ahead and just delete one of them. I don't need both. And then you have this Hellish Resistance and Infernal Legacy, and your speed is set here. She can do light armor. She has proficiency with that, simple weapons, and Prophet's Gambit, which is the Taroka set. She has common, elvish, and infernal. She has her basic inventory here, and then her starting gold. And then for notes, we haven't put anything here, but I'm going to make her neutral evil. She's kind of corrupted. She's not like drastically evil, but she does have a little evil twinge in her. She's female. So these are just like little details that you'll fill out during creation. And then here, if you're doing Adventure League, you can add that there. And then here's her daggers. So she has 2 that she can throw. And her quarterstaff. And since she doesn't use a shield, I'll go ahead and change that to 2 hands. It does a little bit more damage. Here's her spells. Okay, so there's all that. Alright, so we're getting there. So when you want to level this character up, once you have it at first level, you can go ahead and go back to this proficiency of +2. Right next to it is this magnifying glass. If you pop that up, you'll get a screen, a little small window like this. You click on the level up button. It takes you back to the character wizard. It checks for feats again, which we're not going to have any. You go to stats, and then if you go to class, you have this little up arrow, in which it will add your Eldritch invocations, and it checks for feats again. And it's basically, that's our specialty, is the Fiend. I'll hit commit. So it added the average of the hit points rounded up, and it added any skills or abilities. So here's the Eldritch invocations. So I'm going to delete the extra one here. Position of privilege, retainers. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to leave this inventory because this is the class inventory, but if we wanted to, I have another module loaded for their background. So I have a noble background. And actually, this is a third-party module. This is the background, class, and equipment. And it's actually under the campaign area, under parcels, because that's the way they're set up. And then when you go into putting those, once you have those loaded, you can actually bring those in and use that for your background, so you don't have to drag individual items over. But I think we're going to be fine here, because you don't need a whole lot more than this. She has something to write with. She has a backpack. She has her clothing. She has her spell focus. Yeah, she doesn't. This is not an adventure. This is a one-shot, so I don't need to have a ton of things. Like, I can put her crystal in her pouch, so that way it's stowed away in the pouch. So you can organize your inventory just by typing in the location on the right. It needs to be spelled the same way it is over here on the left. So capital letter if it needs it. I'm going to put the knife in the pouch, because that's something that's kind of small. And their ink pen for writing. And then the little ink vial. And then a parchment will go in her backpack. She has a book, so that'll go in her backpack. She has a bag of sand. That'll go in her backpack. She has leather armor and 2 daggers. Those stay out. The quarterstaff stays out. So pretty much everything, and she has her fine clothing on. So that's pretty much everything that needs to be organized is done. There are probably a couple, like your pedigree of authenticity for your actual nobility, so that people can understand that you're from a prestigious noble class or a noble family. So that's that. Let's see, so we'll continue with the notes later until we get further along, but she's almost done. We just got to level her up. So again, I click on this little magnifying glass. It's next to the proficiency +2 up here on the top right. Open that up, and she's at level 2 now. We're going to take her up to level 4. So I'm going to go ahead and go to level up, and then go up to level 4. And you notice I haven't really been messing with her spells, I'm going to wait till level 4 to do anything with it. And then go ahead and hit commit. And then do it one more time. So we're going to go up to level 4, go back to level up, and one more time. So now she can pick an ability score increase or an ASI, which is what that means, or a feat. So I'm going to check feat off, and then we're going to go to the feats button. And it's going to pull up these different things that she can choose from. So I want to go with something that's going to help her. So maybe, let's see, what's Keen Mind, Linguist, Magic Initiate, Mage Slayer. A Poisoner, that'd be cool. Second Chance. Nah, that's a Skulker. You're expert at slinking through the shadows. Try to hide when you're slightly obscured. You are hidden from a creature and miss it with a ranged weapon attack, making an attack doesn't reveal your position. Dim light doesn't pose disadvantage on your perception. I actually kind of like that. Ritual Caster. That kind of makes sense. So she can actually cast spells without burning them up as easily. Warcaster might be what I'm going to go with, just so she has the ability to cast a spell without making Constitution saves. But I don't know if she has any maintenance spells that need to be... I need to check that. But nonetheless, I think I'll just give her Warcaster. But I like the idea of the Skulker. I kind of like that. That's kind of her thing. You know what? I'm gonna. Well, it kind of takes away from the rogue in our party, so maybe not. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and give her Warcaster. That's kind of a generic go-to. Yeah, I'll give her that, so she can be the Warcaster. There we go. So there's her actual feat, and I'm gonna hit committed. And you're gonna go down this list here in the abilities. So she has Pact Boon option. We don't need that. We'll just pick the standard Pact Boon. And then Warlock is her Pact Boon. So we don't need 2 of those. So let's go ahead and read that. Pick one. So Pact Boon, Pact Magic. I think I want to make her like, let's go to her class, actually. I'm leaning towards the Book of Shadows, because that's kind of her thing. So, probably, she's got the Fiend, Dark One's Blessing. Yeah, let's think about that. So this is where your decisions come in. Warlocks are kind of hard to make because they're not as straightforward as most other classes. So if you wanted to do some custom things, you could. But the character wizard really doesn't accommodate for that. Not yet anyway. So rebuilding it so you can put your custom class race options and that sort of thing. It's going to be a bit for that. So in the interim, I think I'm going to go to the character creation part, go to classes, and I'm going to take a look at the Warlock stuff because I want to make sure I'm getting the right one. So here's the player's handbook. So let's see. So these are the other Pact Boons. So I want to make sure I put that back on. Pact Boon. And see, Eldritch, Mystum, what's this? 20th level. Eldritch Invocations. That. Yeah, let's pick her Pact Boon. Pact of the Chain, where she can have a familiar, which is kind of cool. I might do that, actually. Pact of the Blade, nah. Pact of the Tome is the one I was thinking of. She's got that Grimoire. And then Pact Boon of Pact of the Blade, Pact of the Tome. Man, this is a toss-up. What do you guys think, man? I want to give... She's kind of a witch spellcaster, but So she can either have the Book of Shadows or a familiar. So that's kind of where I'm at. The Book of Shadows, she'll have a lot more, what you call it, a lot more choices and options. I'm kind of stuck between that and trying to figure out like what would be best for her, you know, in the game for a one-shot. I think having more spells would be interesting, but if she has a little familiar, she might be able to benefit from that. Like the familiar might be able to help out, you know, like in a little battle or something. I don't know. I'm kind of stuck on which one. I'm not obligated to pick one right at the moment, but if you guys have any suggestions, it's either one of those two. Her patron is the Fiend, so she's going to have that. But she has Dark One's Blessing right now, and then she gets an expanded spell list for the Fiend. So that's that. So I'm going to go ahead and drag those over to her spell list because she gets those as bonus spells. So these are her Warlock cantrips. These are her spells, but this is her expanded list. So I want to get those over there. So I'm going to go to the spells, and this is how you manually add things to your character. So then we're going to go to the 5e effects coding spells, and then I'm going to change this to Warlock so that I make sure I'm pulling from the correct. Actually, I'll just search for them because some of these might not be in the Warlock. So Burning Hands, yep. So that's going to go here. And then there's a couple others. Oh, this goes to, let's see. I'll make sure it's in the right list. Okay. And then Command. So these are the spells that she gets from her patron. So here's Command. Okay, and then second level spells, she gets Blindness. It's kind of cool. That can really be devastating on a humanoid for sure. Oops, second level. Yep, that's fine. And then Scorching Ray. Scorching Ray. So I'm regrouping these because they're going to different groups, so I want to make sure that I put these in the right group. Okay. So that's pretty much all she gets right at the moment. Fiend lets you choose the following spells are added to the Warlock spell list for you. So that's essentially her expanded spell list. Now these might change depending on the pack boon that she chooses. So if she gets Tome of the or Pact of the Tome, she'll have more spells at her disposal. However, if she takes the little, if she takes the other feat, or the other pack boon, she'll get those. So I gotta think. Maybe I'm gonna roll a dice here. That's what I'm gonna do. So 1 to 3, she's gonna get the actual Pact of the Familiar, or Pact of the Chain. And then the other one will be the actual Book of Shadows, so we'll see. Wow, a 6. It was meant to be. Book of Shadows. So in the Warlock, you don't really get to pick your Pact boon when you're building your character automatically, but it does list the feature. And that's essentially what I was reading off earlier. So you get the spell Find Familiar. So let's add that first. So if you go to the actions, go back to spells, and let's type in Find Familiar, because that's one of the spells that you get. It's a ritual too, so you don't have to burn up a spell slot. And what is it? This is a first level spell, so I want to grab the title of this and make sure it goes to the right location. There we go. Okay, so you get that right off the bat, and we're going to assume that she's already done the ritual. So you can choose one of the following. So you can do the Imp, Pseudo-Dragon, Quasit, or Sprite. So I think the Imp is for Lawful, so let me check that out. So if I go to NPCs, let's see. Yeah, they're lawful evil, and then the Quasits are chaotic evil. So I'm gonna go with the Imp. She's neutral evil, but that's gonna be her familiar. So in the abilities area under Pact Boon, I'm gonna type in my notes Pact of the Chain. Or no, she's not gonna get that. That's right. She's gonna get Pact of the Tome, so I don't have to worry about that. So it kind of went off on a tangent here. So I want to get rid of Find Familiar. Never mind. So that's something that she doesn't get. So she gets expanded spells. So Pact of the Tome. And then you have a Book of Shadows. It's enchanted with illusion, gifted to you by the Archfey. Or it could be tattered with a lunatic driven by a mad, great old one. So it just depends. So her book is more than likely Fey origin or something like that, or maybe from a fiend. But basically, Pact of the Tome gives you more spells. So it says when you gain this feature, choose 3 cantrips from any class spell list. The 3 need to be from the same list. While the book is on your person, you can cast those 3 cantrips at will. They don't account against your number of cantrips known. If they don't appear on the Warlock spell list, they are nonetheless Warlock spells for you. If you lose your book, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to replace it from your patron. The ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest. It destroys the previous one. So what we're going to do with that is, first of all, I'm going to make a copy of this book in her inventory. And then she will basically, we're going to call this book the Book of Shadows. And what we'll do is we will define some of that if it'll let us. So Book of Shadows. And then what we'll do is open this up and unlock it. And this gives you the basic information, but we're going to call this a Book of Shadows. So what we'll do is make a note here as to what it actually has in it. And then I highlight the text, hit Control 2. And I'm doing this extra work for the players, so they don't have to look all this stuff up in the middle, especially a one-shot. You know, you don't want to have to spend all this time looking this stuff up. So I'm going to have this information right here. So Pact of the Tome, I'm going to actually put the text for it so that it's easier to find. We're not sitting here during the middle of the game looking for this stuff. And then what we'll do is we'll list the spells here that she chooses. We'll actually drag those here. So she gets 3 cantrip from any spell casting. So that'll be cool. So let's see what that turns out like. So let's go with, let's see, we want to go to the actual spells, and we're going to change this to 0 level because that's the actual the level of the spells. And now we can just go down and arbitrarily pick the 3 that we want. So I'm going to link those into the book itself, just so we have that. So I want to do prestidigitation, one of them. And then probably, let's see, Vicious Mockery, Lightning Lure, Eldritch Blast, Druidcraft, Dancing Lights. Okay, Chill Touch, another one. That would be interesting to have. So Chill Touch, nice to have. And then one other Probably poison spray or spare the dying now. Thorn whip, thunderclap, toll of the dead maybe. Yeah, maybe do something like that. Reduce flame, resistance, sacred flame. Mending is interesting. I like infestation. Seems like a very witchly thing to do. There we go. So these are the spells that are in the Book of Shadows. And then it has the rules here so that you know what they do. That's something you can do for your players and yourself to make life easier for you. You can actually make this an item in the Fantasy Grounds. It's kind of like a permanent thing that you can use in other games if you need to. But it's not critical, but it is something that might save you time in the future. It's nice to have the Book of Shadows ready to go, so you're not having to do this every time. But you do still have to pick the spells, so there's that. Okay, so we got that. I think the cost of this would be more than 25 because this is an actual Book of Shadows, so not just a regular book, so it's going to be worth 100 at least. Maybe even more. I'll go 150 because it's got like 3 spells in it. And only she can use it, but still, it's worth that much to her, so. And then I'm just going to put a dark covered book for the actual non-ID name in case we want it, someone finds it. Dark covered book. And it's, we'll put this under the category of rare. And I think it would require attunement in this case. You know, you'd think so. It doesn't say that, but it's almost like you should have attunement. But anyway, so that's just my opinion on this. So that's our Book of Shadows. So that'll be a cool little thing to have in our inventory. And then what we'll do is open up the actions tab. We'll drag these over. So this will go in the spell slots here for the actual cantrips. Very cool. And then that's charisma based, so that's right. I always check that because sometimes it doesn't parse, but yeah, it looks like they're all parsing correctly. Yep, charisma, yep. There we go. So that's pretty cool. She's got all her spells and notes here, inventory. Quarterstaff is basically armed and ready to go. She's got the Warcaster feat. So it gives her advantage automatically in Fantasy Grounds when she has to make the rolls to maintain any concentration spell. So that was something I wanted to check. So I'm going to go to her. Yeah, so Expeditious Retreat is concentration. So is Hex. So that makes sense for her to have that. The other ones don't have it really. So that helps with Hex a lot. So she can put a Hex on people. And this thing here, concentration up to 10 minutes, so you can move around at an incredible pace. You can then, as a bonus action at the end of your turns until the spell ends, you can take the dash action. Well, that's really cool. So you can zip around really fast. That's a cool spell. All right, so that is essentially her spell list. So it does take a little bit longer to build Warlock, so it's kind of one of the reasons why I want to tackle that first. But she has some racial abilities that I want to add. So I think we go to the Actions tab and go to this Add Power. And this is going to be her Tiefling stuff or related. So Tiefling, natural abilities or something like that. So this way we know what these are. So I just made a new group essentially. And then she gets Hellish Resistance, Dark Vision. Did that get added to her? Yep. So I wanted to add these things to her. So Hellish Resistance. So I got Rob Tui's coding effects here. So I'm gonna go to the spells again. This is where they're stored. And go to racial traits, and then just take this level out of here. And then go to source, which is going to be Tiefling in this case. Hellfire. See, Tiefling. Okay. So here are the two different abilities, so I'm going to drag those over. So there's one. And then here's the Infernal Legacy, and this is the Resistance. Okay, so these are something that she gets for her actual abilities there. And let me check her class features, make sure she's got all those. Class features, go to Warlock, the Fiend. Yeah, so there's nothing really there for the let me just look at the regular Warlock. So, yeah, Fiendish Resilience. I think she has that. Check. Dark One's Blessing. So we're going to put that on her class ability. So let me make another group here. So, a new power group. We're going to call this Warlock Features. And then here I'm going to drag this over. So she gets this Dark One's Blessing. And I believe she gets this Fiendish Resilience. But not till level 10, so she doesn't get that yet. So if you go to their skill or their abilities tab and you look at their class features, that'll tell you. So her pact magic, spell slots, and then you have your in this case we did Pact of the Tome, but her hellish thing is from the Fiend, so Dark One's Blessing. So she has that. That's it. Eldritch Invocations. So we'll have to choose those now. So we have I think we have that blast. So if we have the Eldritch Blast, we can change it to Agonizing Blast. So how we do that is go to Actions, and then we look at, so yeah, she has Eldritch Blast, so we're going to rename it as Agonizing Blast. So this is one of her Eldritch Invocations. And then what happens is we can add the Charisma modifier to the damage it deals. So if we come over to the drop down here, and we actually go into the damage portion of this, we're going to put her Charisma, and now we'll add her Charisma bonus. So it's adding a +3 to the damage. Oops, wrong one though. I did it to the wrong thing. Grab it to... This is going to go back to just a line. Yeah, I accidentally grabbed the wrong one. So that's for Chill Touch. So I want Agonizing Blast. There we go. 1d10 force, and then it's going to key off of her Charisma to add that +3 bonus. So that's cool. So that's one of her Eldritch Invocations. Let's see, Agonizing Blast. Do we have the armor thing? Nope. Armor of Shadows. Beguiling Influence. Book of Ancient Secrets. So we can do this. We can inscribe magical rituals in the Book of Shadows. We can choose 2 first-level spells that have the same ritual tag from any spell list. Wow. Might do that. Let's see, Eldritch Sight, Eldritch Spear. Yeah, some of these have prerequisites, so you have to look at that. Eldritch Blast, Cantrip, Repelling Blast, Eldritch Blast. We got Agonizing ones. I kind of like that. 5th level, Thief of 5 Fates. You cast Bane once using a Warlock spell slot. You can't do so until you finish a long rest. Huh. Thirsting Blade, Visions of Distant Realms, Voice of the Chain Master, Whispers from the Grave, Yeah, some of these are depending on what spells you have. I kind of like this. What is this? This yeah, Book of Ancient Secrets. That is awesome. So we can add more stuff to her book and make her even more abilities to have for spellcasting. So if I go back to her book in her inventory, I can grab this book and open it back up and add more information. So now it's going to be the Book of Ancient Secrets. So that is even a more powerful book. And I'll just leave that. I'll put Ancient Secrets in parentheses so that the player knows what's going on. And then I'll add the spells, but I want to make sure that I put this notes in here. So yeah, Book of Ancient Secrets. So it says that we can choose 2 spells at first level. Rituals don't need to be... They have to have the ritual tag. Okay. So what we're going to do is go back to spells and go back to this and then change this to first level. And then we're going to say ritual yes because we want it. And it can be from any spell list. So we're going to unfilter that bottom part. And now we can do any of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple things here. So let's see, open that book back up. And what we're going to do is add those 2 spells that are ritual spells back into this Ancient Secrets here. So we want to add probably, I like Detect Magic and Identify because these seem to be pretty useful. So this, and we're going to grab Identify. So she's going to have the ability to do research on spells and stuff, so this is cool. So B, and so this is good. So they don't need to be on the same spell list. They don't count against the number of spells you know. With your Books of Shadow in hand, you can cast the chosen spells as rituals. You can't cast spells as rituals unless you've learned them. You can also cast a Warlock spell you know as a ritual if it has a ritual tag. On your adventures, you can add other ritual spells to your Book of Shadows. When you find a spell, okay, this is really good. I like it. So this is just the general book notes here. So let's put a little header on that. There we go. So this is where her spells are stored so that you know, keep track of which spells they had added. And then for her character sheet, I'm going to add these on here. So this is a this is going to be a level 1. So for not being a full-on wizard, I mean, she's got a lot of spells, which is really cool. So that's the whole idea behind that Pack of the Tome, is you get a lot more spells. Alright, so let's get out of the edit mode. Let's change this to preparation. So don't have to worry about that. Combat actions. So this is what your character should look like when you're done. Is you'll have these expanded spells. You can collapse those. But yeah, this is all the spells. So she only gets 2 slots, but she has a lot of, you know, lots of different things. You got to remember also that she's casting these at 2nd level or higher levels. So we might have to go back in and adjust some of these depending on what they say. If you're, you know, upcasting essentially. So in a nutshell, I mean, that's kind of the little things that you can do to make the character a little bit more digestible, so you don't have to go back during the middle of gameplay and work that. That's an easier way to manage a character up front. A little bit more work up front, but honestly, I think it pays off in the long run. So you make a book or use a copy of a book from your inventory and just rename it to the Book of Shadows, and then drag it over and put it in your inventory. And then it's the Book of Ancient Secrets now, and this is in their inventory. And when you open that up, it has all the information for the Book of Shadows and the Book of Ancient Secrets, along with all the notes that go with it. So that way you're not going and looking this stuff up, it's already here. I really think this should have attunement, but really the only one who can cast this is her anyway, so I don't think it's necessary. But this is really cool. So this is a way to kind of make things a little better for, even if like you have a wizard, you can make their spell book and drag all their spells that they acquire into the spell book, and then later drag over the ones that they're going to use, you know, for their blessing or for their casting. So that would help a lot. So I think that's pretty much it, other than I need to make a portrait for the character, but other than that, it's pretty much done. I might add some more things into the notes. So like her age is probably like 29. She's probably a whole 5'7" height at the most, maybe 130 pounds soaking wet. And then you can add all these different things. I'm gonna change these for the one shot because I have kind of like personality set aside. I'm gonna go ahead and add her tarot card reading as one of her skills because she's proficient. So this is gonna be based off of her charisma, and then this is gonna be her Taroka card. So if you go to her abilities, she has this Taroka card set, Prophet's Gambit Taroka set. So let's hit Control A, Control Copy, go to the skills, hit Control V, and that will add her proficiency and her whatever, being proficient, and that helps. So if you're ever going to do any Taroka sets, that's pretty cool. I want to see if there's any of the, because I'm going to give her a Taroka set if she has it. Let me look at her inventory. Yeah, so she doesn't have the set in her inventory, so I want to give her that. If I go to the campaign under items, so I have the Curse of Strahd stuff located. I think I might have a, let's see, it's T-A-R, Taroka. Let's try Prophet. Yeah, here we go. So this is going to go in her equipment. Yep. So I want to go to their inventory and drag this Taroka set in her inventory. So she actually has to have it on her. And this will go in her backpack. So there we go. She's got a set of cards now, which is cool. And then what I would do here is probably find some artwork and link it here, at least, and some images that she can use to present this if she does a reading, so that you can do some role playing with it. But that's pretty cool. And then maybe even some rules on some Taroka here. Like link some rules here so that if they really want to use it in the game, they could. But for a one shot, maybe not. But anyways, that is all for today. I think I'm done. I might come back on again and build more of these in the future. I didn't really do a lot of teaching, but I did point out some things that you can do to make your character building a little bit more detailed. If you're wondering the stuff I was using, it was Rob 2E's coding effects, and then for modules I was using his items and spells, race, feats, and that. Player's Handbook, using some Ravenloft assets. I'm also working on the house itself. I don't want to show the picture of it too early before the one shot, but essentially I got the line of sight built on a house that I'll show during the stream. Again, if you want to join the game, I have a link at the end of the video. It'll be in the description. It's 20 bucks a head, PayPal only. It's only serious people, so I don't want a bunch of flaky people that don't show up. And we're going to actually do a live stream on the 30th in the afternoon, Hallows Eve. So there's that, and the information is on the Fantasy Grounds forum in the actual paid games section. So anyways, take care, everyone. You have a good rest of the week. I think we're getting close to Friday again. Tomorrow's Thursday. So hopefully you guys have a good week and you get to play some